Hello and welcome to Gritty Reboot, the show where we make fun of TV's dark side. I'm Kevin James. With me are my hosts, Sarah Dunaway.
That is me.
Newly COVID vaccinated.
I am. I basically have superpowers now. The superpower to have a sore arm.
And that's just the first dose, so when you get to the second dose of the vaccine, just imagine how sore your arm will be then.
It's really exciting to think about.
And my other host, Hunter Markham. Hunter,
hi.
Not newly COVID vaccinated, but snowblow champion of today.
Yeah, I like blowing a lot of things, but snow's probably the top number one. I'm not vaccinated for COVID. I'm a walking risk.
Yeah, me too. Not all of us work in healthcare. In fact, of all three of us, I would say only the one who is vaccinated does.
Yes. Although, as someone who is walking into hospitals many days a week, I am really excited to now have protection because definitely it's not a great feeling to just be like, oh, I'll just walk into this germ factory here.
Yeah, but now you can just do that. You can just walk in. You can go to water parks. You can go to, once you go to water parks, why would you want to go anywhere else?
That's all I'm going to do.
You can lick the water fountains like the Pawneans do.
Yeah, I'm just going to, drink directly from the water slides. It's going to be great.
No matter how vaccinated you are, I don't recommend that.
Fine, Killjoy. And let's see. So we are covering Wynonna Earp, and we are on Season 2, Episode 6, Whiskey Lullaby, which, fun fact, every transcript for this episode I found online was wrong, so I just got huge spoilers for something that happens later in the series.
What?
While trying to find my cringe line.
Can I guess what it is?
The big spoiler?
Yes.
You can try. I don't think you'll get it, though.
The baby isn't Doc Holliday's.
Nope, it's a very random spoiler I found.
Damn it. Sarah, do you have any ideas what this is? Am I the only one in the dark, or is Kevin just sitting there hoarding information?
Oh, he announced it.
Yes, I explained how I found it, because I was looking and I was like, alright, this happens pretty early in, so I just have to go to the first scene, find out what Doc Holliday said, and wait, what's happening? Wynonna's getting kidnapped. Who is she getting kidnapped by? How did this happen?
Okay, I like surprises. We'll find this out as we go. All I know is this episode opens up where when Dolls is threatened with a gun, Doc Holliday says, "Don't talk about my partner's ass," as if he's a possessive boyfriend.
Is he not a possessive boyfriend?
That whole confrontation, that was where the cringe line was, right?
Yes.
It's where it was like, what you don't know is, I hate you. And
What?
Kevin and I just both burst out laughing. Like, it just sounds like something like we would have written in middle school.
I don't remember that line. I just was thinking, Doc Holliday being like, "Don't talk about my partner's ass unless you're about to compliment it."
The whole scene was a bit rough. Not great acting moments all around. Do you remember Dolls' big groan of frustration? Ugh.
All I remember is they confront the dude who made them sign the blood contract at the beginning of the season in a dark alley. They pull guns on him, and he's like, "Black Badge doesn't exist anymore. You guys are fucked." And it also was never a government agency, despite what we were led to believe.
It just completely cuts them loose from their blood contract, which... way to stay on top of that plot line.
Why would we have such a big deal about the blood contract where when they were about to sign it in the beginning of this season, the person who was trying to warn them not to sign anything got murdered, got shot in the fucking skull. And then later on this episode, they're like, since Black Badge doesn't exist, I guess we're free of that blood contract.
Very strange.
Are they actually free from it, or is this going to come back? I pray that it comes back.
I hope it does. I don't have quite that much faith in this show yet at this point, but we'll see.
But yeah, so I wish I could remember the exact phrasing of Doc Holliday's line, because the Black Badge chief says something like, "Nice to see you guys." And Doc Holliday goes, "I wish I could say the same, but what you don't know is, I hate you."
It's really bad.
It's like he's talking to his stepdad.
Yeah.
I hate you. I'm not going to do my homework.
Yes. So that was a strong way to start the episode. Just...
You're not my supervisor. I mean, this leads into something that they touch on later but never resolve in this show. First of all, has a job ever ghosted you? Has a job ever just straight up Enroned and disappeared?
Yes.
What? Okay, please tell me about this, Sarah.
So when I was 15, 16, I worked at a 70s themed soup restaurant.
That was a spit take turn cough. What was it named?
Zoop Works.
I was gonna hope it was Zoop Suit Riot.
It was constant 70s music videos playing. A very strange man ran it, and he kept asking me to raid my mom's prescription cabinet for pills, and then very suddenly he left town owing me like $700.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. It was just me and like another 16-year-old working there. He knew exactly who to like prey on, you know?
Don't work at the soup place run by Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah. In case anyone was considering this, do not work at a 70s themed soup restaurant. Don't recommend.
I just don't know how you get there of like, I want to do a soup restaurant. But it's not just going to be any soup restaurant. It's going to raise the bar. It's going to change the game.
This
Soup
is
restaurants.
what people are after. Soup fans love the 70s.
Soup
Disco
on its
and
own.
soup are
played
just,
out.
Yeah.
As the president of the Wilmer Valderrama fan club, I know a little bit about the 70s. I think I
Yeah,
can
for
pull
sure.
this off.
So Hunter, did that derail the point you were gonna make at all?
No!
So sorry.
That was legitimately a question of, does this happen? Because I've never had a job just straight up disappear on me. But the real thing that comes of this that Jeremy intelligently brings up later is, how are we going to get paid? And no one says, yeah, we have enough money. They're just like, we're free to kill demons. But also, like, not be able to make our car payments. Are their 401ks fully vested? Why am I the only one asking these questions?
I mean, it is Canada, so I assume they have much better like unemployment benefits than we have in America. So like, it's probably
this
not
is
as
true.
big of a concern.
Can you apply for unemployment if a faux government agency disappears and you're left jobless?
Oh, I have a story for this too.
Like, I don't see why you wouldn't. It isn't the entirety of Canada filled with faux government agencies that disappear into the Canadian wilds.
This is where Sarah talks about when she worked for a 70s themed secret agency.
I think the government agencies just kind of pop up on the prairie, just like people do. It's just how it works in Alberta. It's just like, boom, here we are, and now we're gone.
So Black Badge, it turns out, was less CIA and more Blackwater, or whatever that group that's run by Betsy DeVos's brother is now called.
Blackwater.
I think he renamed it to something to make it, to like wash away the stigma of, you know,
Being Blackwater.
yeah, that.
Yeah.
It's like crystal black water. Ooh. Fresh new taste.
It's an interesting point that never really gets developed into how are we going to get money, which is either good for everyone for being independently wealthy. I guess Doc was right to invest in a bar so he has another source of income.
Yeah, it is weird how these plots keep starting and then just being abandoned or being rushed through so quickly in ways that is kind of baffling. Like, spoilers for this episode, but Wynonna jumps forward from like a couple weeks pregnant to what looks like 6 months pregnant by the end. Though
More than 6.
Though we're told it's only been a month.
Yeah. Girl jumps ahead a couple trimesters.
Yeah, and it's just very weird. Like I was kind of expecting this to be rushed through a little, but I wasn't expecting she's pregnant. She's gonna give birth basically next episode.
My rationale for that, because they build this whole weird plot where, like, time stops for everyone and everyone's in a Sleeping Beauty slumber and doesn't age except for Wynonna's baby, which grows to, it looks like she's almost 7 months pregnant or something. Is this simply because there was some sort of break in production during a point where Melanie Scrofano was pregnant, and they were like, yeah, this is our, mid-season filming stop. And then when she came back, she was super pregnant, and the writers had to somehow conjure a way to make the story work around that?
Possibly, but normally mid-season filming stops would happen after episode 6, not before.
They do things a little bit different up there in Canada, don't they?
I'm just saying, normally a mid-season happens mid-season, and this is a 13-episode show.
If we know anything about Wynonna Earp, it's that they kind of know how a TV show is supposed to be made.
I mean, it's also possible they were just, hiding the pregnancy pretty well, and then she kind of, reached a threshold where it was like, okay, there's no hiding this anymore. And that can happen fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. Not as quickly as it did on this show, but,
Wow, I just thought there was something that happened with production where it got put on halt and the writers got painted into a corner, so I was trying not to take them to task for that. But it also makes everything so much more confusing, and this is already one of those episodes where I had to double check and say, am I watching this out of order? Did I skip one? Because previous episode was all, oh, there's volunteer firefighters and Waverly's possessed and we have to deal with this. And there was no mention of the Black Widow demons or little creepy Tucker who is disgusting or any of these other things. Those just got put on pause for an entire episode where we dealt with Waverly and Wynonna are possessed. And now that one episode is done, we just resume the previous plot now?
Yep, and also we have a weird, it reminded me of Twilight, where the baby grows at an astronomical rate. Or is it a demon baby? This was what I was, is it a vampire baby? Is it a werewolf baby? Is it a different kind of demon? What's going on? Because all of my YA instincts are telling me this is demon related.
Yeah.
I hope so. I pray so. But the Twilight baby, if they can bring back the special effects from the Twilight baby and use them in this show.
Yes, please. Creepiest baby in the world.
Whatever that thing was named, Maranatha.
Renesmee.
I just slammed sounds together because I didn't know what the actual thing was.
That's what the author did.
I saw the second to last Twilight movie. I never saw the final one. So I saw up until the point where Bella's crazy prego and her hip breaks from the weight of being pregnant with a demon spawn. And then she gets turned into a vampire. But I never saw the child except in screenshots. And I just said, I've seen the best part of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I need no
there's
further.
Nothing meaningful left.
So we can only pray that a really hideous, half baby, half adult, disgusting thing like they created for Twilight will appear in the Wynonna Earp universe.
Yeah.
Because that baby was not supposed to be gross in Twilight, but it totally was.
Oh, yeah, I think they were going for cute baby. They just did not succeed.
So it's weird. They didn't want it to be ugly, but they did want it to be slightly disconcerting because it is aging so quickly and it's becoming self-possessed and knowledgeable quickly.
But see, having any baby do unbabyish things would be unsettling.
Yes.
They overshot.
For anyone who hasn't watched the Twilight series, who has more culture, if you ever see those Renaissance paintings where it's baby Jesus, but he's a little homunculus and he looks somehow too adult, they did that for the Twilight baby.
It's like that, or, more accurately, it's if you've ever played a video game where it's very clear that the children in the game are just shrunken adults. They did not make a separate child head. They just were I'll just make a smaller one and that'll be a child.
We've hit our ideal target demographic. Gamers, Renaissance art enthusiasts, and Twilight fans.
If none of those things hit for you and express the Twilight baby in its essence, then I can't help you. We covered all the bases there.
I feel like we really painted a picture.
We paint a picture with words, and now I just keep thinking about really small adult character models in games.
It's one of my favorite things, actually, because it just cracks me up every time. Especially when, the younger, the better, really. If it's, a baby that clearly has, an adult face, I just love that. Love it.
It's like a 3-month-old baby with like 5 o'clock
Yeah.
shadow.
Yeah. You're like, I saw that same face in town.
You were saying, Hunter?
Oh, back to the show. We have a scene where the Black Widow demons, who are currently possessing Mercedes and her sister Beth, go to a church and murder a priest because he has one of the rings of power?
Yes. So this is a little confusing, but we learned throughout the episode there are 3 seals that protect the town from something, and the Black Widows need to destroy them for reasons that are not made clear in this episode, but like, you know, we're experienced TV viewers. We know that if something called a protective seal is destroyed, bad stuff's probably going to happen.
And by seals, we mean they're just manhole covers with some runes carved on them, not like seals.
Not like a kiss from the rose on the gray seals either.
Well, the theme song for this will just be me singing that a cappella.
Perfect.
But yeah, and then they go from that to blackmailing what we later learn is a Sandman demon. And they say, Tucker's gonna rape your daughter if you don't do this for us. Which, a bold choice, show. I didn't know we were going to go directly to the rape mutilation portion of this kind of plot.
Okay, I love this villain, though. Like, Hypnos is so, like, the Hypnos Tucker thing, it was so weird and, like, didn't really make sense and was not actually creepy at all. And I think it was trying to be, and so that just, like, hit all the notes for me.
So basically you loved it because it sucked.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Hypnos was weirdly avuncular. Even at the end of the episode, Wynonna's even like, we'll get your girlfriend back. It's like, she's my daughter. And it's like, yeah, I didn't even think that it would be your girlfriend.
This, like you said, Sarah, came out of absolute nowhere. There's just this thing of people talking about, oh yeah, the clockmaker's mansion in town.
Yes.
As if, like, it's purgatory. It should just be like 2 miles of 1-story homes with a trailer park and a Walmart.
I want to know what clockmaker has a mansion. Like, what? Like, I guess, like, the president of, like, I don't know, Rolex, whatever. But, like, other than that, no.
It was so weird because this town can't seem to decide if it's a buttfuck nowhere real prairie small town or if it's supposed to be some Lovecraftian East Coast place with all this deep history. Because we learned that every fucking building in Purgatory is built on an ancient holy site.
Especially Shorty's.
They're like, a bar used to be consecrated ground, used to be a Masonic temple. Oh, over here, the condos used to be on a church. Trailer park's on Indian burial ground. That school. I don't know. I think there was a graveyard there or something.
Our YMCA, well, that was actually a pagan mating ritual site. You can actually still see the maypole they erected.
Wait, since it's Canada, do they just say like maple instead of maypole? And they just put up a tree?
Yeah.
Probably.
That's what makes this town feel so weird to me, because frontier towns, the kind of vibe you get from them are someone just threw up some stick buildings in the middle of nowhere because they found gold in a creek. And that there's that thing of like impermanence, and when people leave, it's a ghost town, and that's kind of the vibe of a Western setting, which is totally different from like a Lovecraftian, like, these cobblestone streets have been here forever, and there's the clockmaker's mansion, and there's all this fucking history here. Purgatory wants it both ways. Wynonna Earp wants to have their Western setting and be able to just throw in clockmaker's mansions.
That's a really good point.
They just reinvent the town for whatever they want the plot to be that week, basically. Which I'm not totally against, because it does make for fun things like, oh, sure, Hypnos in the clockmaker's mansion. Why not? Like, okay.
I just kind of wanted them to somehow play with more of the small town stuff and twist these tropes to fit the setting in some way, which
Yeah.
I kind of thought
sure.
they did in season 1 with the blacksmith, where it's a native woman who lives in this cabin out there and she's doing witchcraft, and I'm like, yeah, that works in this world. The clockmaker's mansion felt like it had been ported in from Doctor Who.
Yeah, maybe this is probably a little controversial because I know Sarah isn't really a fan, but like they could stand to like take a little more from like the David Lynch playbook of like there's not like rich and deep history, there's just people being assholes under like a pretty like facade of suburbia or like small townness.
I have nothing to add because I think we covered at a certain point that I have never seen a David Lynch film because...
Okay, but what about kind of like Hot Fuzz? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I feel like Hot Fuzz is like a little closer to like the Lovecraftian side because they have like the big ancient council. They just also poke fun at it because it's instead of being a big ancient council, it's like the local homeowners board.
Right. But that's more the vibe I think they could work with.
Yeah.
I think they could do something like that and just twist the tropes a little bit. I know we've been hammering on this clockmaker plot for a while. The rapey stuff gets more creepy and gross throughout the episode, which I didn't think was really that possible. But I'd like a quick cutaway to when Wynonna and Waverly are talking, and Wynonna opens the scene with saying, "Remember that time you touched the goo?" And I thought Waverly's response was going to be, "I haven't dated Champ for like a year." But they didn't. And then I was saving this for my cringe line, but Wynonna describes dolls as, this is direct quote, a tiny, super sexy dragon. That I may have turned against this character.
I guess tiny for a dragon, but not generally. It's an interesting way to describe him.
Yes, because Dolls is bigger than pretty much everyone else on the show.
Right.
Except for maybe Doc.
But compared to an average dragon, small.
It was just a very odd descriptor.
Yes.
Because he's breathed fire like once, but he never... It's not like he's flying around on leathery wings. No. So I would not call him a dragon. I don't know.
We've already established the preferred term as combustible lizard man.
Exactly! So... That's what it says on the Wikipedia. She could have said, oh, he's a sexy combustible lizard man. Wouldn't have even made it as a cringe line at all.
Yes, I think Dolls should have been there and said, hold on, dragon is our word. But yeah, so, and then we get into like the main plot of the episode. We find out that Hypnos is being forced to put the whole town to sleep when Wynonna goes to try and start a relationship with Dolls. And they're at like a cafe at 10 a.m. and then everyone just falls asleep.
Yeah. Dolls is like, oh, now that we're free agents and we can do anything we want, Wynonna, you and me should go get coffee. And he does not know she's preggo at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And she's super awkward about it because she doesn't want to tell him she's pregnant. But when did Dolls all of a sudden start attempting to spit game? Not that he does great, because I think I have the exact quote here. It is, "Damn, I missed you like so much."
Yes, we laughed at that too.
Like, that's the best you can do? I missed you like so much.
That was actually in my wedding vows, Hunter. Please don't mock.
That's like girls meeting each other at the mall to go shopping. I missed you like so much.
It was so bad. I don't know what they were going for, because it is a sharp like tonal change for him as a character. So it almost comes across like he's just being really weird. Like it doesn't even really play like, oh, he's trying to get serious about her, because he's being really cheesy and he's just being weird.
Yeah, he's not acting at all like his established character. And I know that we bagged on him for being non-emotive in season 1, but there's a way to have a character grow or to have him express how much he cares about her while still remaining true to who he is and not moving closer to Champ on the male character spectrum.
Yeah, I personally find that like having characters who have trouble expressing their emotions, trying to express their emotions, that's actually, when done well, one of my favorite things to see, because you can see them visibly struggle with how to deliver their lines, and it just makes it like a little more emotionally impactful that you can see like, oh, this isn't something that comes easily or naturally. But that wasn't exactly handled right here.
Not the best, and it's not like it made me hate Dolls as a character. It just didn't make me get all hot and bothered and say, oh my gosh, Wynonna and Doll should end up together. They're the couple that's meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think the show's trying to set up, Team Edward, Team Jacob thing of like Team Dolls, Team Doc.
Team Lizard, Team Cowboy Ghost.
Yeah.
If only you could be a cowboy vampire.
I know.
Then it'd be perfect.
What we're saying is this show is pretty much Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, essentially, yes.
Right down to the love interest not actually being all that impressive.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find out sooner or later that it is actually Champ's baby, and that will floor everyone.
Let's hope so.
But yeah, so they all fall asleep. Wynonna wakes up suddenly 11 months pregnant because Peacemaker warned her she was in danger. And she wakes everyone up, and somehow, despite it being 10 a.m. on like a weekday, literally everyone in town that she goes to wake up is naked for some reason. Like, Waverly and Officer Hot were stripping down to get into bed. Jeremy was on the toilet. Doc and... was it Rosita or was it someone else? They were mid-coitus.
I mean, every Wednesday at 11, I just get naked spontaneously, obviously, as we all do.
If the spell had hit, like, even, 10 seconds later, Wynonna would have also been naked in the restroom.
Yeah.
So, just, what an interesting narrative choice. Like, I get it, naked people are funny, but did you have to do that with every character?
It went past the rule of three of, this is how you do a joke, to just, this was really their only idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cute when it was oh no, Nicole must be naked. And then they kept going with everyone naked. And I was like, oh no.
They could have kept going and made it absolutely ridiculous. Should we enlist the help of the volunteer firefighters? Oh, we could, but they all fell asleep at naked yoga. And then, of course, Wynonna's like, ooh, I'll go wake them up.
That was where I was gonna go. They talk about how because there's this big spell over the town, even the Wynonna team people that are awake, which is all our main cast, they're struggling to stay awake, and anyone else they try and wake up goes right back to sleep unless they give them a bunch of caffeine or uppers. But there's never a point where they say, we have an evidence locker full of stimulants, which is a plot point in the episode. We should go wake up the volunteer firefighters. There's 10 of them that are really good at killing demons.
Mm-hmm.
And since we are now no longer under Black Badge anything, because it doesn't exist, it might be a good idea to pal around with them. They just never mention that group at all, as if they have completely forgotten the events of the previous episode.
Which I guess could lend some credence to your idea that, this was filmed... out
of order?
a long time later, after the last episode.
It might have been. I think there's some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, it's hard to know what is, the scheduling shenanigans and what's just, they're not the best at circling back on their own plots.
Or, obviously the baby is actually Ewan's, and so, it's going to be awkward if they wake him up.
I'm sorry, how do you say that name again? Ewan?
So, everyone goes to sleep for what's supposed to be weeks, sort of, because Wynonna wakes up in the diner and everything's covered in dust, and she's hella pregnant, and I was totally lost until it was revealed that the clockmaker hypno dude had gone so deep he put that ass to sleep.
My favorite part of this whole plot is we learn at the end of the episode that it's only felt like months. Because when Hypno says, look at your phone, Wynonna, she looks like, oh my god, it's the same date as when I had tea with dolls. It's how did you not look at the date before this?
It's a choice of having her wake up and be like, wow, everything's covered in dust. I'm way more pregnant now. And then, for seemingly no reason at the end of the episode, saying, actually, no, time hasn't passed. Your baby just grew a lot. Why not embrace, months have passed, and the town's going to wake up and they're collectively going to have lost 3 months of time, and there's going to be some sort of weird panic and conspiracy theory stuff going on, which could have been really cool to explore.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, they even start strong with the good fake out where, like, Wynonna drinks some tea, which she never usually drinks. And then, when she first wakes up, she's like, what was in that tea? Which, I mean, it wasn't the tea probably. But, like, still, you're kind of like, what happened? And then they just kind of make it the weirdest possible explanation that doesn't add any intrigue.
It's just the Black Widows are blackmailing Hypno, aka Clockmaker, aka whatever other pseudonyms he has on his IMDb page, and making him put the town to sleep so they can search for these seals, which they suck at searching because they've had weeks. But before the spell hit, Jeremy was already in the Black Badge or whatever Purgatory office like, I found the next one.
Yes.
It took him an afternoon. And the whole
Look,
time...
not everyone can be like our man J-Dog.
He's obviously pretty good because the only way that the Black Widow demons find that next seal is because they go to the Purgatory Police Department and find all of Jeremy's notes and just steal his work.
And here I want to take a little time out to appreciate Jeremy. I know we're all fans, but I had a revelation while watching this episode about why Jeremy works so well. And so Hunter, feel free to contradict me here, but sometimes Wynonna Earp has some pretty awkward dialogue.
No.
Hadn't noticed.
But Jeremy is a character who is designed to deliver awkward dialogue. Like, the dialogue is supposed to be awkward. So the writing and his character are a perfect match. It just works in a way where, like, when you have badass combustible lizard person / secret agent dolls trying to say cool stuff and coming out awkward, like, wow, what a disconnect. But the writing is perfect for where Jeremy is.
I think it's that combined with also he is the only man in the show who behaves like an actual human being.
That too.
Like an actual person with a character. So I appreciate that about him a great deal.
He seems like someone you could meet who's the IT guy at your job or is, a software engineer.
Person.
Because he is kind of awkward, but he's kind of funny and clearly intelligent. He just has no social graces. And the actor does a really good job of pulling that off and selling these lines where if someone didn't have the awkward body language, this dialogue would land so flat. But they did a really great job casting him.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like, I don't know anyone. I've never met a person who was similar to Dolls or Doc Holliday. Like, that's not a type of person I encounter
you've
in
known
my
me
life.
for years.
What are you talking about? Every time you tell me it's nice to see me, I say, but what you don't know is that I hate you.
Every morning I text Kevin, damn, I missed you like a lot.
So we did kind of front load our making fun of this episode. That's because the middle, not really anything happens. It's mostly just running around until the seal is discovered and destroyed.
Yes, but again, I love the stuff in the Clockmaker's Mansion. I love Hypnos being like, oh, it's really hard to keep these people being asleep. It just reminded me of, weird, kooky Buffy villains, like Circus Season 2.
Yeah.
Sorry to get very specific on you. He reminded me of, Balthazar or something.
Yeah.
Where, it's just funny, and I was into that.
My comparison was, Ian McKellen as Magneto in the X-Men movie, where he's in the... I think it's the second one where he's in the special containment unit where there's no metal and it's just a very odd scene and it feels super campy. That's all of Hypno's scenes. And the one thing that I will quibble with on this is the town's been asleep for weeks. Tucker is in the mansion with Hypno, basically keeping him at gunpoint and threatening his daughter, and he says he's getting bored. But I feel like Tucker is a sort of greasy, crusty-lipped little creep who would enjoy the fact that there's a town full of sleeping women.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It seems like he would get very distracted by that, and that would just be all he did.
I want this character to die so hard.
Oh, yeah.
To quote the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, kill him a lot.
That is a good quote to share from the movie. Yeah, and it gets even more uncomfortable because, like, I think we all probably thought that Tucker was just a garden variety, creepy, borderline rapist. But apparently now he's, like, very specifically into Waverly.
I kind of got the feeling from the first when he was like, I want a girl, and I was like, this dude has a weird thing for Waverly.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has expressed that. I would not have guessed it was so specifically her, though. Like, I thought it was like, oh, of all the girls in town, I find this one hotter than many of them. But not like, I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah, I thought it was just like, whoever is closest he is creeping on. But, like, as soon as he gets the chance to take Hypno's daughter, Poppy, great naming job, guys, he takes her to the homestead and makes her dress up in Waverly's clothes, and even gives her a cheerleading uniform and tells her to get into character. So,
And she doesn't. I just have to call her out. I never bought her as Waverly.
Waverly would have brushed her hair more slowly. Which is what Tucker's sitting there with a gun in the corner criticizing this girl's hairbrushing technique because it's not Waverly-esque enough. And as far as we know, this girl has never met Waverly and has no idea who this is.
Also, how often has Tucker watched Waverly brush her hair? That's very concerning.
He has idealized her in his mind because he has deep, deep problems.
yeah.
But he says something about how he was like wandering around looking for the seal. He found something in the salt flats, which is where we left Connie Clutie, another great character name, aka the Stone Witch in season 1. But by the end of the episode, they imply that he killed her. And I really thought they were going to bring her back. And I still don't believe that because he just, like, leaves a shrunken head behind.
He just effortlessly killed one of the major villains of the last season. And
Off
just
screen.
like, this is who I am now.
Because we didn't see it happen on screen, I still don't buy it. But what we did see on screen, and what was everyone's favorite moment, is Nicole shoots this son of a bitch.
Right through the shoulder. And then he jumps out a window to escape. But it's not like a normal, like, I have to protect myself through this window. It's like a Looney Tunes swan dive out the window.
Yeah.
But at first he's like, you shot me! Like, he can't believe it, which was so perfect for his character. And I just hate him so much, and I hope he bleeds out.
He was a privileged little shit.
Yep.
And I love that, so he's about to, like, be really creepy and make this girl put on a cheerleading costume. Nicole Hawk busts him, pops a cap in him, he dives out a window, and the first thing I thought of was that fucking Riverdale episode where that kid was just sitting on a window ledge, and whenever Jughead and Betty came in, he just dove out the window. And does every TV show have to have certain things in order to get aired? Like, gotta do a jazz number, gotta have some weird creepy little kid jump out a window.
What a oddly specific list to stick to, yes.
It's clearly an international requirement because both American and Canadian television has to, I guess, fill out a form and say that they're going to cross all of these off the list.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the disappointing middle. They just run around, the Black Widows destroy the seal, Tucker gets shot in the shoulder and disappears. And, I don't know, is there anything else we want to talk about in that section before we just move into the ending parts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, is the ending part the basement at Shorty's? Is that where you're going with this? Or is there something else you wanted to touch on?
That can count as part of the ending.
All right, because that's the next thing that I have notes on. I don't know if you have any notes on the Shorty's basement scene.
Just that I liked Jeremy's delivery of, I failed my weapons proficiency test 4 times in a row.
I love that. I love that for him.
I was confused. So they find out one of the seals is in the basement of Shorty's because it was built on a Masonic temple, because everything's built on something. And then the Black Widows show up, and I guess they breathe frost breath that freezes people. But there's this weird thing they did where the Black Widows knocked over Waverly and Doc Holliday with the frost breath.
Oh yes.
And Jeremy just kind of like curled up and lay down like a fawn. And then in a subsequent scene, he stood up only to get frost breathed and fall down again. Which I don't see how that served any more narrative purpose than like Black Widows come in and knock them all down with this spell.
It was a funny moment, but I was unsure how deliberate it was.
Yeah, it looked like he just lay down rather than got hit with anything. It was a weird cut or whatever where it just didn't look right.
My first thought was, did they just like forget to like add in the effects of him getting hit too, or like did they hit a budget constraint?
I just don't know why they had to have this other additional scene of him then getting hit with the same spell as everyone else and accomplishing nothing instead of just having that all happen in one instant.
Yeah, I guess it was to set up that scene where like he reaches for the gun, you think he's gonna like try and shoot the Black Widows, but then he kicks a Coke can and they notice him and they breathe him down anyway. I think that was supposed to be a joke, but it was just like that was what I was expecting. So
oh, it wasn't a Coke can. Did you see the name of the energy drink they were drinking?
No, I didn't.
Beaver Buzz.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
All I could think of was the Tim and Eric skit Beaver Boys, where they just dance around and there's a song about how they drink white wine and eat shrimp. So, literally it. But, I don't know, Beaver Buzz was kind of terrible, and I guess supposed to be
terrible.
A Canadian energy drink. I'm assuming maple flavored.
There are things besides maple in Canada. It's probably poutine flavored.
Oh, good. This tastes like salt and cheese.
So, and then Wynonna arrives and scares off the Black Widows with a cheesy one-liner.
She, like, wings one of them with a piss-poor shot.
I mean, that's what happens when you charge in and decide to shout your one-liner before you shoot.
It's okay. She makes up for it afterward when they go to the clockmaker's mansion, and she one-kicks an entire 12-foot-tall solid oak door straight off its fucking hinges.
Was it oak? It bounced up like it was rubber.
I'm just saying, she didn't kick the door open. She kicked the door, and it flew off of its hinges. Which I guess, is pregnancy strength a thing?
It can be.
Or like you said that so confidently, like you know all about it.
I've been pregnant several times.
It was a moment, but then I guess the resolution is, hey, we shot Tucker, Mr. Hypnotic Demon Dude, so undo the spell that has everyone in town asleep. And then after he does that, Dolls shoots him and is like, Wynonna, finish him off with Peacemaker. I'm your boss, even though we're no longer employed.
It was a weird moment.
Is that before or after he kisses her? Because they have a kiss in this fucking
This
show.
whole thing gets really weird. There's also, is it before or after this that Wynonna tells Doc that she's pregnant?
She doesn't tell him. He just notices.
Well, yeah. You know
after
what I mean.
she rescues
she
him.
reveals that she's pregnant. And
that's in the previous scene when they've scared off the widows.
Yeah, and so he's like, basically like, well, you knew what this was, so... And then, later, he slips the door, like a note to Waverly that Wynonna gets. And Kevin and I were watching on our fairly small TV downstairs. And so we were both like squinting at it. It's in like script scrawly handwriting, and
it's not even zoomed in on the
no,
screen.
it's not at all. So you can see it, but it's not that clear. And so Kevin's like, "What does it say?" And I was like, "It says I'm all in, or I'm all done." I'm not sure. We had to look it up afterward.
When he first handed the note to Waverly, because it was kind of on shiny paper and it was folded small, I thought it was a wrapped condom, and he was going to be like,
"Yes, we had
Rosita taught me what those are. Should have used one with Wynonna."
I made the same joke. I said, Waverly's gonna be like, he gave me a condom. Sorry, he just doesn't understand sex ed. 1800s, you know?
A little too late for that, bud. But the guy has no idea what contraceptives are, let's be real.
No.
But yeah, it's also weird. I guess the I'm all in is like a nice touch, because there was like a moment earlier where Doc had been like, women know what I'm about. I'm a loose cannon who can't be tied down. You know, a real danger to the ship I'm on.
But that was just beautiful wordplay. Can we just have a little moment?
It really was.
Thank you.
Why go with the middle school note of I'm all in?
That was what the problem was, that you were all in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, dude, it's called pull-out game. First of all, super fucking important. Second, what kind of man who is over the age of 11 gives someone a note to give to someone else telling them that they're ready to be a father? The fact that you did that means you're not ready to be a father.
No.
Like, a real man goes and says, like, hey, I was really shocked whenever I saw you were 22 months pregnant. I was a fucking idiot. I'm here to apologize, and I want to be here for this, and it's really important for me to be involved in this kid's life. Please forgive me.
Yeah, the note, if it was actually handing like a coward's note, it should be something like, I've made it for the Canadian border. Please tell our child that I went out to get cigarettes.
It's also just so vague. Like, I want him to be like, I just ordered what to expect when you're expecting on Amazon and some diapers. Let's go to Lamaze classes. Like, are you really all in? Show me. Don't tell me, you know?
Actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely.
And the little note did not endear me to him. Mm-mm. And I'm so confused with what's supposed to be going on with the romances in this show, because we have Doc Holliday saying, like, I'm ready to be a dad via note. We have Dolls who mouth kisses Wynonna and is like, you're fucking great. And then he's screaming at her in a subsequent scene where he's like, kill this fucking demon. I'm your boss.
So weird. Like, it just came out of nowhere. And the demon, like, yeah, it's a demon, but he seemed like a decent guy who was in a tough spot. So I don't get it.
I liked that demon. I feel like he had real potential to, like, rehabilitate, and it was pretty unfair.
And then Wynonna just goes along with it. She doesn't even argue with it. She's like, oh, fine, if I'm ordered to. The same way I still only fill out, like, my weekly reports at work.
Fine, I'll reply to this fucking email chain. God damn it. I don't know how Dolls can reconcile kissing Wynonna on the lips and then being like, I'm your boss. That's a very clear power dynamic in our relationship. That just seems like not a good way to have a relationship with a coworker.
A coworker you're not even paying.
Yeah, like, you guys also are no longer employed, so you can't even pull the boss card. You used to be my boss when we were employed by a shady corporation that you lied to me about.
And I never acted like you were my boss even then. It's weird.
So I have no idea what's supposed to be happening next. I guess Wynonna and Doc will be trying to deal with the fact that the baby is probably theirs.
I think they're trying to do something where they're like, just like, Dolls is evolving, and the way that they're showing us that is that he's having a lot of emotions, but not in a way that feels coherent at all.
Yeah.
I have another question, subsequent question. Clockmaker dude who got shot because he's a demon, he has to die. The daughter, Poppy, who was at risk of molestation and worse. Is she a demon? Is she a demi-demon? Was she adopted? Like, is she just off the hook?
Great
Unclear.
question.
That she just ran away after that, and they don't even bother, like, checking up on her.
Yeah, they had some line of like, oh yeah, she ran away after that. But if she's...
Turns out murdering her dad didn't endear us to her. Weird.
But if he's a demon, it stands to reason that she is at least 50% demon.
That does stand to reason. I don't know why you're applying reason to this show, but yes, that does track.
I just want them to follow up on these things, and I want someone to think about this, preferably someone on the inside.
I mean, it would be great, ideally, if she, like, came back and they were able to, like, use her to put people to sleep. Or, I don't know, her name's Poppy. Just make them get really high in an opium den or something. I don't know. But, like, why not? Use her again. I don't know.
They could do something, but no, it's going to be just like this Skinwalker lady from season 1 where it's like, oh yeah, she's no longer forced to be a bear or a wolf. She's gone from this show forever. This potentially interesting character.
Mm-hmm. Right. They're like, oh, now that you've empathized with this person, we'll make sure you never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Thanks.
And the show ends where Wynona's sitting on the floor and she says, this is the only position I feel comfortable in. Which I think is warranted because her bed in the background is just a hope chest with a blanket on it. Because we saw her in a previous episode wake up on that sorry excuse for a bed. Why does she sleep on that? That was all I could think about in this scene. I didn't listen to the dialogue. I barely read Doc's notes. I was just like, get a bigger bed, girl.
I do have one fashion note for this episode, which is, when did Wynonna inherit Bobo's giant fur coat?
Oh, I did love this. Like, I genuinely laughed for on purpose reasons when Wynonna said, I'm going to need a bigger coat. I thought that was pretty good.
I laughed on purpose when there was a moment, like on purpose as in I laughed when the show wanted me to laugh.
Right.
When she's talking about pregnancy and someone mentions something about labor and she's like, oh fuck, I'm going to have to do that. Like,
yeah,
it just occurred to
another
her.
Good one.
It was so good, and it was a really great delivery, proving that Melanie Scrofano's fucking funny.
Yeah,
again,
definitely.
I mean, I think we all knew that.
She's really good at that, and that was something else that she made it. The surprise of that line feel natural, and that's what made it so funny. I just want an episode of Wynonna with, like, baby problems and, like, trying to raise a child, because I think that'd be hilarious.
I'm just hoping that in season 3 we have, like, Wynonna Earp, the next generation.
Is that, like, Star Trek The Next Generation?
There's actually a ton of shows there, like The Next Generation, like Degrassi, The Next Generation.
Oh, Saved by the Bell, the college years.
I hope they call it the Little Twerps.
Why a twerp?
Did we burn all of our cringe lines?
I mean, mine was Tiny Super Sexy Dragon.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and then we discussed the, I actually hate you, and damn, I missed you like so much. Which both were terrible.
Yeah.
like, I know I opened last episode with a joke pickup line of, damn girl, that ass is too fine to shit with. But that would not have been that much worse than I missed you like so much.
It's so bad.
Dolls, spit a little bit more game than that, my dude.
He can't spit game when he's spitting fire.
Dolls releases a mixtape to tell Wynonna about his feelings. Because he says it with his whole chest like a man and doesn't just send a fucking note via her sister. I'm still not down with that.
I love how
it's
mad
so
we are at
terrible.
Duck Holiday.
Because, like, he lives in town. Like, he's right there. Like, just knock on the door and be like, hey, Wynonna, I would like to have a conversation with you as an adult that you're considering raising a child with.
Yeah. Stand outside her window with a boombox with a song that has the lyric baby in it. There's probably a couple of those.
Oh, but then Doc would have to know what a boombox is, and as we've established, it's inconsistent whether or not he knows stuff like that.
I've just figured out what condoms are. Apparently there's a thing called birth control. My head is spinning. Also, the characters on the TV, they're not just smaller character models of people from real life. They film that stuff.
I think I would give this episode 3.5 shrunken witch heads.
This one, I was so bamboozled and confused and honestly pissed off half the time I was watching it. I've had a blast discussing it, so it's gone from like a 2.5 to a 3.5 tall cans of Beaver Buzz.
I think I liked this the most out of anybody because I just liked how campy it was.
Yeah, the campiness helped.
Yeah, like if you're gonna be a weird show like this, be campy. So I'm giving it 4 out of 5 clockmaker mansions.
The right number of mansions for a clockmaker.
Yes.
You can't have just one.
No.
You gotta have your summer mansion, your secondary mansion.
I mean, really, you need 12. Arranged in a circle.
This was a time, let me tell you. I mean,
Oh, was a time.
God damn. I just mean, when I watched this episode, I was like, fuck. I don't know how we're gonna talk about this. You guys really turned this one around for me.
It was a fun one. And we also got off onto some weird tangents, much like the show.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that I left half my notes in the document and they will never make it onto the podcast. Because whatever we said was better.
Yeah, I think this is what I was kind of hoping the show might be or turn into, which is that, like, it was bad, but in a good way. So I'd like to see more of this.
I'm okay with that because it led to really good conversation. And all I really want to do is make jokes about this. So Wynonna with a baby could be really fun.
And who knows, we'll probably be seeing that baby next week in Season 2, Episode 7, Everybody Knows.
Ooh. Until then, you can find us on Twitter at GrittyRebootPod or email us at GrittyRebootPodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, damn, I'm gonna miss you like so much.